The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 155. And I am Ray Russell, and this week we finally finish out the month of October TV for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. Well, we almost finish out the month of October, more on that later in the episode. But right now, guys, we've got another weekend of TV Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, and of course another edition of Primetime Wrestling, taking us into the month of November. And so without further ado, we're going to jump right back into things again this week, guys, as we head off now to the WWF's Superstars of Wrestling, October 29th, 1988. All right, away we go. Superstars for October the 29th. Tape back October 5th, Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. Still a mouthful. It's Vince McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura on the call here as we head off to the ring to see tag team champions Demolition, Axe, and Smash, along with manager Mr. Fuji by their side. Their opponents this week, John Latou and Mike Richards. And as you may suspect, it is demolish and destroy from the get-go here. First on Latou, and then it's Richards' turn to face the wrath of Axe and Smash. Luckily, it's brief, as the tag team champion's going to put Richards away, put him out of his misery with the Demolition Decapitation to score the win, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Another typical Demolition squash, which is always fun to watch, as long as you're not in the ring with them. The demos will get you indeed. And congratulations to Demolition, who were recently added to the WWE alumni section and have reportedly signed a Legends deal. Could the Hall of Fame be on the horizon? Long overdue, if so. Good luck to Demolition in the future there. Now with the WWE once again. But here in 1988, the big news is, during commentary, they announce all 10 teams competing in the giant 20-man tag upcoming at Survivor Series. We learn the match right here in this contest. And of course, Demolition going to lead off the heel team of the Fabulous Rougeaus, the Conquistadors, Arn and Tully, the Brainbusters, right into the mix, as well as the Bolsheviks. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ring, the babyface side, going to feature the Powers of Pain, the Hart Foundation, British Bulldogs, the Rockers. Wow, what a foursome. And of course, the Young Stallions going to fill that team out. So 10-team elimination match upcoming at the Survivor Series. Going to be a big deal. No doubt about it. And right now we're going to find out just a little bit more about the pay-per-view. Well, they're going to tell a little story here. We're going to head off now to the Brother Love Show with his guest this week, the Mighty Hercules.
I have no idea.
I love you.
It's not that bad.
And you know, love is many things. And one thing that love is gratitude. Now, my guest this week is a man who knows no gratitude.
Oh boy.
Therefore, he has no love.
Seems simple to me.
His career was guided by one of the greatest brains in the entire world, that being Brother Brain Bobby Heenan. And he was given the
look at Hercules. He is really put together. I wonder how he's going to do without having Bobby Heenan riding on his back.
Hercules, why would you not serve the $1 million man?
You know, there is a big difference between gratitude and servitude. You know, day after day, night after night, in every arena across this country, I served Bobby Heenan. But I served Bobby Heenan because I wanted to. I served him because I trusted him. And how did he repay me? By selling me out to the likes of a man like Ted DiBiase. And all through the ages and all through history, the mighty Hercules has stood alone. These chains I wear around my neck, man, they stand for my courage. They stand for my strength. I have my pride and I have my dignity. And no amount of money, Ted DiBiase, can take away my pride. No amount of money can take away my dignity. But you say every man has his price. Well, let me tell you something, Ted DiBiase. This time, you will pay the price. You will pay the price with agony. You will pay the price in your pain. You will feel the wrath of the mighty Hercules.
Well, let me tell you something. You had the opportunity of a...
What's this? Not too sure. The Macho Man must be close by. Here he comes. Macho Man Randy Savage, the World Wrestling Federation champion. How rude. And look, the lovely Elizabeth. How rude can they be, McMahon? Coming with her and fighting on the show.
I got something to say. Oh, yeah. Ever since I was a macho baby, everything that I read about mythology, yeah, about the mighty Hercules is just as you say. Self-respect, dignity, strength too, but more important, pride. And when you stood up and showed the zillions and zillions of people all around the world, and you showed the $1 million man that you had no price, all I'd like to say is that Elizabeth and I would like to shake the hand of the real Hercules.
How about that? What a salute to the mighty Hercules.
All right, Brother Love claiming Hercules is a man without gratitude, and thus he shows no love. Herc finally arriving on set, mentioning his past in serving Bobby Heenan before being sold like a slave to Ted DiBiase. Herc says there's a difference between servitude and gratitude. The Mighty One promising that nothing and no one, no amount of money will ever take his pride or dignity. Hercules then vowing it will be the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, who pays the price. Gotta love that. Naturally, though, Brother Love upset at the comments being made because Teddy is his benefactor. He's the entire reason the Brother Love show exists. But before Brother Love can respond, out comes the WWF champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, along with the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Savage talking to Hercules directly, ignoring Brother Love, remembering way back to when he was just a little macho baby, studying mythology all the way back then, eh, Mach? Macho says that he learned of the pride and the courage, the strength and the self-respect of Hercules. And this is the true Hercules now. Savage really giving Herc a talking up here in this promo, putting him over on the microphone before running off that nosy Brother Love trying to interject. And Savage and Liz both then shaking the hand and raising the arms of the mighty Hercules. Herc getting that full rub from the WWF champion here and the lovely Liz as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Herc added to the Mega Powers team at the Survivor Series. Obviously, Hercules continuing his story with the $1 Million Man in the background, but really the entire point of this Brother Love segment was to have the WWF champion Randy Savage come out and kind of give the rub over to Hercules. He respects the mythological man, and we'll have to see how this plays out as we continue on. We go back to the ring, though, more action featuring Greg the Hammer Valentine with manager Jimmy Hart taking on Scott Casey. And there it is right out of the gate at the top of this matchup. Vince McMahon on commentary announcing the team of the Mega Powers at the Survivor Series where Hercules is added. So that's a big deal for Herc, along with Hillbilly Jim and Coco Beware. Well, now it doesn't mean as much, does it, Herc? Anywho, in the ring, we have Valentine. We also get an insert promo from Jimmy Hart, as last week we heard from the Doctor of Style Slick, claiming that Sugar Ray Leonard asked the Slickster to be his manager for his upcoming bout on November 7th against Donnie Lalonde. Slick turning it down this week. It's Jimmy Hart claiming the same. He says no thank you to Sugar Ray, referring to him as a loser baby. As in the ring, Scott Casey has a rough time trying to slide through the legs of the Hammer, and we get the basic Greg Valentine stuff here. Stiff chops, some elbows, of course. Casey battling back, but runs into a knee in the corner, and then Hammer off the top rope with that standing elbow before sliding into the shin guard assisted, well, now the Heartbreaker, if you will, applying that figure 4 leg lock and getting the submission win. Match only goes 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Bet if they knew Scott Casey was going to be part of the pay-per-view, they wouldn't be squashing him here on TV so close to the event. But right now we go back to the ring. Tag team action. Going to see the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, taking on Sandy Beach and Brian Costello. And we get a crisscross spot right out of the gate with Costello and Shawn to start things out. Marty, though, making the blind tag in, and the Rockers are indeed a rockin'. As the larger Sandy Beach tags in, gets in a couple moves on Jannetty, but doesn't last too long. Costello tagging back in, eats a Shawn Michaels top rope fist drop, followed by the Rockerplex. Going to put Costello down. Rockers going over 3 minutes flat. And during the match, I can't ignore it being from Cleveland and all. Jesse Ventura ragging on the city of Cleveland proper. Of course, the Richfield Coliseum. No place Jesse'd rather be on Thanksgiving than in Cleveland. Can you imagine that, Jess? As we continue on, Mean Gene Okerlund joining a featured fan segment. I guess something they tried to upstart. I don't remember this. We'll have to wait and see how long this lasts. Feature fan, basically Mean Gene sitting in the arena somewhere and just speaking with a couple of fans. Here we see a couple, a man and a wife, who talk about how great it is to watch the WWF live and in person. It's more electrical, says the female, here than watching it on TV. As Mean Gene continues to steal their popcorn. Way to go, Gino. And then it's back to the ring, more action. The Red Rooster, Terry Taylor out here with manager Bobby Heenan by his side. His opponent this week, Reno Riggins. So it's Red Rooster versus Reno Riggins. There we go. We get an insert promo from the Red Rooster, who is excited to be managed by the Brain. Of course you are, Terry. But he feels he is not as limited as his manager thinks. Yeah, this sounds like it's going to last. Quick match, though. Shinbreaker sets up the Scorpion Deathlock to give Terry Taylor the submission win in just 1 minute and 29 seconds. Jesse Ventura going to aptly name the hold here. Not the Scorpion, not the Sharpshooter, but rather the Cock of the Walk. Get it? Red Rooster, Cock of the Walk. Never mind. Manager Bobby Heenan instructing Terry Taylor to break the hold afterwards. So Terry showing a little more aggression this week. Is he doing it to impress the Brain? Is he doing it because he can't do anything without taking orders from Bobby Heenan? I'm not really sure what the story was here, but I do know he gets a quick win. Very impressive, Terry Taylor thus far, even with the Red Rooster moniker. And hey, the Cock of the Walk, the name of the move works. It's a great move. Unfortunately, he won't have it very long. As right now we go off to the event center. Sean Mooney standing by with the likes of some of the teams heading into the Survivor Series, co-captains to be exact. We're going to hear from the Ultimate Warrior and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. We're also going to hear from the other side of that match, former Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man, and the Outlaw, Ron Bass.
The Survivor Series, it happens Thanksgiving night, and after what recently took place, the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, and his captain, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, cannot wait to meet the team of five, co-captained by the Big Boss Man and Akeem. And what about this matchup? Co-captains, the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw, Ron Bass. On the other side, the Ultimate Warrior and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Let's hear from both sides.
Whoa, Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series. You're looking at the Survivors, brother, face to face, back to back. We're coming for all-out war. The ultimate test for the ultimate warrior and Barber Beefcake, brother. And we're looking down your throats. With the tons of warriors on my back, you would think that the ultimate warrior's starting to feel the pressure. But take a look at the structure, brother. Take a look at the foundation. If any of the slime happens to Jabone, it's only gonna slide down into the gutter because Brutus the Barber is gonna be cutting and strutting all over you, outlaw. And honky tonk man, go ahead, bite off what you can chew.
Oh, let history repeat itself, Outlaw Ron Bass. Co-captains of the greatest team ever assembled. Thanksgiving night. Oh, the Survivor Series, just 1 year ago Thanksgiving night. Outlaw Ron Bass and the Honky Tonk Man, co-captains of the greatest team in the Survivor Series, and we're gonna do it all again.
You know, Honky Tonk Man, we're the co-captains, all right? But you look across the ring, you're gonna have some cold privates, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about Beefcake, and I'm talking about the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, Miss Betsy and the Maverick brothers, they want to get a hold of that little pretty face of that Beefcake again. And then that big awesome Buster, the Ultimate Warrior, you're not going to keep that title, and you're not going to be Survivor. You're looking at the experience in the match, brother. We're survivors once, and we can be survivors again. We guarantee it.
4 spectacular matches involving 50 superstars of the World Wrestling Federation. It is the Survivor Series, November 24th, Thanksgiving night at the Richfield Coliseum. Don't miss it.
Well, we hear from both sides there. Warrior and Beefer, they got their fearsome fivesome taking on Honky Tonk and crew. Going to be another fun match Thanksgiving night in the Richfield Coliseum. But there's another fun match going down right now in the ring here on Superstars. And it's going to be another Bad News Brown beatdown, I'm going to assume, as it is Brown taking on Red Tyler, newcomer to the WWF, one of my favorite enhancement talent of the era. We get an insert promo from Brown right out of the gate, who talks a clear conspiracy against them by the Macho Man Randy Savage and that WWF president, Jack Tunney. Brown stating that he's undefeated and the clear-cut #1 contender for the WWF title. Yet, he hasn't received a title shot yet. Well, I have a feeling that's going to change in short order. Is Bad News going to jump Red before the match, beat him down before laying him out with that ghetto blaster? A little off the mark this week, catching him on the shoulder, but it's still enough to put Red away. Brown going over in 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Kind of peculiar. Bad News basically being pushed as the #1 contender for the WWF title, but he's not part of the Macho Man match at the pay-per-view because the focal point there has to be on Hulk Hogan, dude. But no, seriously, Bad News working his way into WWF title matches. We're going to see a few more things play out here on TV in the weeks to come as well. But for right now, Bad News stuck in the Warrior match on the card. Kind of interesting. I'll tell you what else is interesting. Also during this matchup, Vince McMahon on commentary, as far as I could tell, and I've been watching all year, as you guys know, first time I've heard Bad News referred to as a loner. So they're starting to kick up the gimmick a little more, the Harlem Loner, Bad News Brown. And there it is, planting the seeds for perhaps things to come here at the pay-per-view. As we roll off now to Update in Mean Gene Okerlund. The topic this week, last week's epic Boss Man beatdown on Hulk Hogan on the set of the Brother Love Show.
All right, that was the frightening reminder of what transpired on the Superstars of Wrestling on the Brother Love Show last week. By the way, the collaboration between Slick and the Big Boss Man, the former corrections officer from Cobb County, Georgia, is further documented in this month's issue of the World Wrestling Federation magazine. It's on newsstands right now. Could be a sign of things to come in the Survivor Series on Thanksgiving in suburban Cleveland, Ohio at the Richfield Coliseum when teams of 5 try to survive. On one of the teams, Hulk Hogan, the opposing team will include the name of the Big Boss Man, so watch out. And a man that's upset this weekend comments, he is Hulk Hogan.
You know, Big Boss Man, I can't believe that you and the Slickster would be dumb enough to try to put these little handcuffs on me, man. You should have brought the big shackles, the big chains, the first time around, man. You cannot put Hulkamania in a cage, brother. And all I'm waiting for is the WWF to set your trial date, because I'm the judge around here, man. If you shackle me down, Hulkamaniacs, put the seatbelts on. I'll rip the bleachers apart trying to get to him. What are you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?
All right, so we kick things off there. Clips from the Brother Love Show, the beatdown for the Big Boss Man, attacking, putting down Hulk Hogan with the nightstick, handcuffing him to the railing. Awesome sight there. And then we hear for the man himself, Hulk Hogan, still wearing the handcuff around his wrist. Wait, so they could remove it from the railing, but not Hulk Hogan's wrist. Gotcha.
Visual aids, dude.
But at the end of the day, you heard the Hulkster right there. It appears the feud is indeed on, brother. Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man. Fun things to come between those two. But right now we go back to the ring for Brutus the Barber Beefcake taking on Gene Ligon. We even get an insert promo from Outlaw Ron Bass, who says eventually Beefcake won't have a bunch of people to hide behind like he does at the Survivor Series. They will soon meet one-on-one. The Outlaw and the Barber have been going at it back and forth, tooth and nail on the house shows right now. And that's going to continue all the way through the end of the year, if I remember correctly. But for right now in the ring, basic Brute Eye spots here. Atomic drop. We get the high knee, which is later the high knee when he's the booty man, if you get what I mean. Ligon does fire back with some shots, but it's the sleeper hold, putting Gene Ligon down and putting him out for a nice little haircut. A fall special, I guess you could say. Going to give the Beefer the win, 1 minute and 48 seconds here this week, as we go off now to a replay of yet another Mr. Perfect vignette. This first seen on a recent edition of Wrestling Challenge. It's Mr. Perfect shooting hoops.
Absolutely perfect.
Gotta love that sky hook, the no-look shot, the swish, and another win for Mr. Perfect here this week on WWF Superstars, soon to be making his way to the ring, I have no doubt. And right now we go back to the ring for the former IC champ, the Honky Tonk Man, who still professes to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, he'll have you know. Jimmy Hart back out here by his side. Honky's opponent this week, Tom Walsh. And Honky Tonk with a complete beatdown here on Walsh, as Vince randomly bringing up the Jesse the Body Award from almost a year ago. Remember the Slammies back in 87? Vince can't believe, he says, that Rick Rude somehow beat out the Ultimate Warrior for Best Body in 1987, which was kind of a random reference, or maybe not so random. We'll have to wait and see. Some dancing in between the basic moves here from Honky Tonk, and before you know it, it's the shake, rattle, and roll. Going to pick up the very easy and quick win, 1 minute and 25 seconds. And even though Honky's currently feuding with the Warrior, trying to regain his IC title that he lost back at SummerSlam, and let's not forget he's booked as one of the co-captains at the Survivor Series, but really, Honky came off as an afterthought here on commentary during this matchup, as even the announcers teasing the potential of a Warrior-Rick Rude feud, it would seem. As that's food for thought. Right now we go back to the event center. Once again, Sean Mooney, as we hear from the likes of Dino Bravo and Frenchie Martin talking about Bravo's big match at the Survivor Series and no doubt his feud with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Welcome back to the event center, the Survivor Series. It will happen Thanksgiving night. A quick review of the captains of this spectacular event. In the tag team elimination Survivor match, on one side, the Powers of Pain. On the other, Action Smash of Demolition. The teams of 5. This one is hot. One team, co-captained by Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage. On the other side, Akeem and the Big Boss Man. What about this matchup right here? The Honky Tonk Man of the Outlaw, Ron Bass, to face a team co-captained by the Ultimate Warrior and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. There is more. Jake the Snake Roberts, a co-captain, a team of 5 with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. On the other side, Andre the Giant and Dino Bravo. Dino Bravo is standing by right now with Frenchie Martin.
Vous pourrez pas dire que je choisis pas mon moment.
Frenchie, parle pas français, ils comprennent pas un mot. Parle-leur en anglais.
Ah, no speak French. Well, I'll tell you just the same. Thanksgiving night. Co-captain of our teams, Andre the Giant, and the world's strongest man, Dino Bravo. Also ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, Ali Race. Ain't that competition when you talk about competition?
That's right, we couldn't have picked a better night. Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series. You talk about the opposition. Jake the Snake Roberts. Well, Rick Rude, you know what he's gonna do you. About Tito Santana. You out of your league, Santana. JYD. Ken Patera, USA. You know what? Hacksaw Jim Duggan. It's all gonna come down to you, Duggan. I made a pledge with Andre the Giant. And you know, we couldn't find 2 closer people. That's right. Andre's my best friend. And we set it up for you on your holiday, the American holiday. Jim Hacksaw Duggan, we're going to destroy you. We're going to teach every American respect. You're going to learn to respect our world's strongest man. And most of all, the colors of Quebec.
All right, so there it was. Thanksgiving night, says Dino Bravo, the Survivor Series. And let's not forget Hacksaw Jim Duggan and that smelly USA. Soon everyone will learn to respect the Quebec flag, the fleur-de-lis. Dino Bravo. What else can you say? Not much. As we learn next week, right here on Superstars, guys, Intercontinental Champion, Ultimate Warrior in the ring, as well as the Big Boss Man. Hey, is Dino Bravo going to be here? And then a replay of Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ravishing Rick Rude. Going to go down when? This weekend. But we can't say Saturday night's main event here because this isn't NBC. So just this weekend, Jake versus Rude. Going to see the match right here next week on Superstars in its entirety. And that's going to be fun when we get there. But for right now, we go off to promos to hear from both men discussing their matchup.
It's come down to this, baby. This weekend, it's all going to be over. You see, you're going to be at ringside. Rick Rude, you come on down. You give me your best shot, man, because I tell you something. There is no spark without a flame, and there is no smoke without a fire.
So don't play no games.
Well, Roberts, you bringing the old lady for moral support? Or does she just want to get a closer look at the sexiest man alive? One way or another, this weekend, it's going to come to a head, boys. And I'm going to come out on top. And Cheryl, I don't play games.
Well, Jake and Rude both sound primed and ready. This basically being sold as the blow-off. This is it. Winner take all this weekend. Saturday night's main event and more on that later in this edition of The Grenade. Plus, if all of that wasn't enough, Brother Love's guest next week, the entire team, the entire heel team, at the main event of the Survivor Series. Akeem, the Big Boss Man, the Doctor of Style Slick, Ted DiBiase, likely to have Virgil by his side, King Haku, the Red Rooster, and Bobby Heenan. Boy, that's going to be a full set on the Brother Love show. The entire heel team coming next week. And if all of that wasn't enough, none of it to be outdone by the syndicated TV debut of Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, right here in the ring next week on Superstars. I can't wait. Warrior, Boss Man, Mr. Perfect making his debut. Sounds like a fun weekend, guys. Get ready for the next television week on TV. We got a couple weeks to get there. We're going to talk about November news and, of course, Saturday night's main event in between. But right now, we're going to take this brief WrestleCopia timeout.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia podcast network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the program. Big news going on. Lots of Survivor Series teams starting to form. Mr. Perfect going to make his in-ring debut next week, proper, here on Superstars. Because remember, guys, until it happens on syndicated TV, it doesn't really happen. And so we've just got a lot going on. Bad news gunning for the WWF champion, Randy Savage. They spent a lot of work on that last episode of TV to kind of get a lot of things over. Macho Man being used there to endorse the Mighty Hercules is the next big thing here, the next semi-main eventer. We'll have to see how that goes. But right now we move on to our next piece of TV, off to Wrestling Challenge for October 30th, 1988. Here we are, Wrestling Challenge, October 30th, tape back October 6th, Toledo, Ohio, Toledo Sports Arena. Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary here. In the first full segment, the entire 7-minute replay of last week's Brother Love show as originally aired on Superstars. The Boss Man attacking, putting the beat down on Hulk Hogan, and of course, Hogan recovering, chasing him to the back, guardrail attached over his head, but shown in its entirety. That's just how important and big it was. Hey, whenever you're building up a Hulk Hogan feud, you got to get it over on every piece of television, and Challenge is no exception here. So the entire first full segment this week, the Brother Love show. Seems pointless to take him off a Challenge. But hey, you got to move to Superstars when you're going to do angles that big, dude. So we come back from break, and then it is the Rockers in the ring, our second dose of the Rockers this weekend, as they take on Steve Lombardi and Iron Mike Sharp. We get an insert promo here from the Rockers, who are headed to the Survivor Series and couldn't be more excited. Woo! But here in the ring, it's actually the heel side, getting Marty in trouble early on, putting him against the ropes, but Jannetty fighting his way free, and the Rockers going to clear the ring because they are, in fact, tag team specialists. Woo! Mike Sharp winds up accidentally knocking partner Lombardi off the apron, and the Rockers going to take control from there, eventually double super kick on Iron Mike, followed by Shawn pressing Jannetty high in the air, dropping him down on top of Sharp, diving splash down from Marty, going to get the 1, 2, 3. And Mike Sharp's response, something along the lines of rawr, 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 as the Rockers go over 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And we go on to the event center. Sean Mooney going to talk with the likes once again. Second dose of this today. I don't know. The Ultimate Warrior and Brutus Beefcake.
And we are back to World Wrestling Federation Event Center. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney. It is the Survivor Series. It will happen Thanksgiving night. 4 spectacular matches including some 50 superstars of the World Wrestling Federation. One is especially hot. A team co-captained by Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Their team of 5 to face the team of 5 co-captained by Akeem and the Big Boss Man. What about this one? On one side, the Outlaw Ron Bass and the Honky Tonk Man. They will face a team co-captained by Brutus the Barber Beefcake and the Ultimate Warrior.
You know, Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series. What better of a time could there be? Ultimate Challenge. What better time could there be to have a man like the Ultimate Warrior for the ultimate partner? You know something, Honky Tonk? There's unfinished business here that's long overdue. And you have chosen the wrong man, the Outlaw Ron Bass, to stand beside you. So it looks like it's going to be too bad for both of you boys, because there'll be no home run hits this night. There'll be no foul balls, brother. There'll only be you two and us and the rest of our partners in there, all together. Some kind of strategy still has to be done. I got the spaceship loaded with all the goodies, and we're headed out with the rest of the toxic waste power. I'm talking about the power of the Ultimate Warrior. I'm talking about the blue blaze of the left pen. I'm talking about Don the Rock Morocco, 300 pounds of solitaire, ready to spread it around on Thanksgiving Day. I'm talking about you, Honky Tonk Man. I'm talking about taking you up into the cold and the darkness, and you can feel it.
Each man with his own reasons for stepping into the ring. You know what is going on with the Outlaw Ron Bass and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. The Honky Tonk Man would like to put the Ultimate Warrior in a position to get his belt back. It is all part of the Survivor Series, and here's how you can see it.
I've got to admit, maybe the promos aren't the best, but if you go back and watch the videos, tremendous. Just lots of crazy nonsense going on in these interviews between UW and Brother Brutai. We also get a replay aired previously on an episode of Superstars, another Mr. Perfect replay, a perfect game of chess.
And now you know why they call me Mr. Perfect.
Check and mate Mr. Perfect. This may be the last vignette we see, because next week we know he's stepping into the ring right here on syndicated television. And right now we go back to the ring for the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, taking on Pork Chop Cash, back once again. I don't know about after this one, though. Fun spot to start. Pork Chop going to take some shots, landing punches into the ribcage of UW, which Warrior Man obviously going to no-sell. So Cash getting a little upset, going to try one more time. Cocks back, but as he turns to take that big swing to the gut of Warrior, the IC champ wisely lowers his IC title belt right in the way, and thus Cash punching the IC title and hurting his hand in the process. Comical fashion here from Pork Chop Cash. Fun spot for a TV matchup. Is Warrior then going to dominate the grizzled veteran in Pork Chop, sending him outside, but kindly carries Cash back up the steps, dumping him back inside the ring. And lots of cuts to the crowd I noticed here during this match. The fans, the kids, seemingly all wearing Warrior merchandise, I should point out. It is November, so holiday season is upon us, people. Get to shopping. Meanwhile, in the ring, big clothesline by the Warrior and a gorilla press drop. Ooh, rough landing there on the side for Pork Chop Cash. Couldn't have been fun. Big splash going to end this thing and stick the fork in the pork chop. He's done. See what I did there? Warrior going over 2 minutes flat. I don't know if that's the last we're going to see of Pork Chop Cash here in the WWF. I wish they'd give him a little more out there, but when you're in the ring with the Warrior, this is pretty much what I suspect. Hopefully he's okay after that nasty landing off the gorilla press. Right now we go off to Special Report with Lord Alfred Hayes talking all about the Survivor Series.
Hello everyone, I'm Lord Alfred Hayes with this week's special report. We are rapidly approaching Thanksgiving Day, and on the evening of this special occasion, the World Wrestling Federation presents live from Richfield, Ohio, on pay-per-view television, a spectacular night of wrestling, the Survivor Series. Here are the 8 Survivor teams, and who will oppose who. Co-captains, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jake the Snake Roberts, together with Tito Santana, the Junkyard Dog, and Ken Patera, go against co-captains Andre the Giant and Dino Bravo, together with the ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and Harley Race. Co-captains, the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, together with the Rock Don Morocco, the Blue Blazer, and Sam Houston. They go against co-captains the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw Ron Bass, together with Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bad News Brown, and Dangerous Danny Davis. A little earlier, on the Brother Love show, we saw what the Big Boss Man did to Hulk Hogan. Now the Hulkster gets his chance of revenge when, together with his co-captain, the World Wrestling Federation champion Randy Macho Man Savage, and their team of Hercules, Koko Beware, and Hillbilly Jim, take on the co-captains, the Big Boss Man and Akeem, and their team of King Haku, Red Rooster, and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Rounding off this Thanksgiving evening is a survival tag team event. The co-captain teams are the Powers of Pain, along with the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Rockers, and the Young Stallions. They will be opposed by the team captains, the World Wrestling Federation champions Demolition, along with the Fabulous Rougeos, the Russian Bolsheviks, the Conquistadors, and the Brainbusters. The Survivor Series takes place live from Richfield, Ohio, on pay-per-view television Thanksgiving evening. For the World Wrestling Federation, this is Special Report.
Wow, the complete rundown of the Survivor Series. All 4 matches announced, and if you were paying attention, a couple of interesting names pop up here. We hear the name of the Junkyard Dog once again for Team Jake. We also hear the Rock Don Morocco, originally announced on Team Warrior. Now stick with me here, guys. We know JYD and Morocco both fired at the same time. We've also heard since last time, yes, Jake cut a promo mentioning the dog on his team, but we also heard after that Morocco was on Jake's team, which means they pulled him from the Warriors team, but they were keeping him. Meanwhile, both guys fired after returning from the European tour. So very convoluted, very confusing. And with Dog already being written out before he was actually fired, kind of makes you wonder if they already had plans in place for something along those lines. Nevertheless, The Rock and JYD will not be part of the pay-per-view, but as of right now, both slated for matches on the show. Very fun stuff. As we go back to the ring for King Haku, with manager Bobby Heenan, Haku's opponent this week, Scott Hudson. Not that Scott Hudson. And just your run-of-the-mill Haku mauling going on here. Gorilla forced into solo commentary with the brain at ringside. He's got to put over Haku, and of course the big pay-per-view upcoming Haku, part of the main event there. It is a thrust kick right to the face of Hudson. Does it every time, giving King Haku the win, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. And Haku, not really getting over, not really doing a whole lot as far as storyline purposes go either. He's had some matches on the house shows against Hogan, against Savage, but really no build up to get there. But he does have a big match coming with Hogan on Saturday night's main event. So that could get interesting. But we also have to remember Harley Race's return to TV is imminent. He is announced for one of the matches at the Survivor Series. Going to be part of Team Andre. So curious to see what happens when one king returns and another one is sitting on his throne. But for right now, we go off to Mean Gene Okerlund up on the platform, special interview time. And we're going to hear this week from the WWF champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and the lovely Miss Elizabeth.
Macho Man premiere. We are all anxiously anticipating the big one on Thanksgiving in suburban Cleveland, Ohio. I'm talking about the Survivor Series, where teams of 5 try to survive. And you're in great company as co-captain. You've got Koko Beware, Hillbilly Jim, and a new Hercules. The 4 of you to team up with your co-captain, none other than Hulk Hogan. Opponents, Macho Man, will be the $1 Million Man, the Red Rooster, King Haku, and co-captains Akeem and the Big Boss Man, and things are heating up, champ.
Ooh, yeah! I want to make a promise to everybody that the Survivor Series is going to be so hot that it's going to be boiling over, yeah!
On Thanksgiving. All right.
For instance, Koko Beware is going to be flying so high, and he's going to teach Bobby Heenan's Red Rooster how to cock-a-doodle-doo.
Oh, yeah. All right, Macho Man, what about Hillbilly Jim?
Hillbilly Jim has got his eyes set on King Haku because in Mudlick, Kentucky, he wants a souvenir from the Survivor Series and wear that crown all around.
Oh, yeah. All right, Elizabeth Macho Man, the $1 million man. Ted DiBiase certainly is going to have his sights set on one of your team members, the Mighty Hercules.
Hercules has proved a lot to me lately, yeah. And he's already proved that he doesn't have a price for the $1 million man. So in the Survivor Series, it's time for the $1 million man to pay all his debts and pay them in cash.
All right, what about the co-captains, Akeem and the Big Boss Man?
I got my eyes set on Akeem, and a lot of people think that he's the one-man gang. So I guess, Elizabeth, I'm gonna have to go down in history in the Survivor Series as the only man to beat two men at the same time.
All right, Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man.
I wouldn't be in the Big Boss Man's shoes for nothing in the world, because my partner, my co-captain, Hulk Hogan, is gonna make sure that the Big Boss Man does hard time.
All right, first lady of wrestling, Elizabeth. Hard time indeed. The Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Going to start out against 5 against 5, but anything could happen from there. It could end up 5 against 1.
So if the arena looked a little different there, a little bit of a change in looks from what we've seen in the matches up until this point, that's because this interview was actually recorded the previous day in Fort Wayne. Now, I don't know if Mean Gene had to miss the taping or what the deal was here, but we're going to see the next couple of interviews were taped, in fact, in Fort Wayne rather than Toledo. Anywho, we hear the Macho Man sort of foreshadowing some things. If you pay attention, when he says things are going to boil over at the Survivor Series, as he puts over his team in their match at the big event, Hillbilly Jim coming after Haku says Coco gonna teach the Rooster how to cock-a-doodle-doo. Hercules gonna make Ted DiBiase pay the price. And of course, the Macho Man, he has the gang, but he's beaten the gang. And now he will beat Akeem. Savage stating that he's gonna be the first man in history to beat two men at the same time. Well, that's a handicap match, but I kind of like what you did there. Also promising it will be the Big Boss Man who serves hard times at the hands of Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Dig it. With the DiBiase feud behind him and the Andre feud mostly for the house shows and also finishing up there, Savage sort of wandering around defending against several contenders right now on the house shows. The Bad News Brown story, though, slowly starting to take shape, but with the Survivor Series just a few weeks away, curious to see what Macho Man does between now and the pay-per-view. Right now, on Challenge, though, we head back to the ring for more action involving the Red Rooster, with Bobby Heenan in his corner. Rooster's opponent, one Tommy Angel. I want to stop here for just 1 second. I noticed the Rockers on both episodes of TV, and now the Rooster on both episodes of TV, and that was not commonplace. They typically tried to have different talent on both shows, and there would be times where they bled over, where they would be on both Superstars and Challenge, but it wasn't often on the same weekend. And here we're seeing it multiple times. I don't know. Seems like somebody dropped the ball here. As we get another Terry Taylor promo, once again here on Challenge, this time promising to show his manager, the Brain, that he actually is a good wrestler. No, I really am, Brain. Promising not to let the Heenan family down. I can't see this ending well when he has to come on TV and plead with his manager to realize that, no, I'm actually a good wrestler. Seriously, watch me in the ring. As Tommy Angel going to surprise Terry early on, taking him down. And as you can imagine, that only pisses off Bobby Heenan, who motions for the Rooster to come over for some advice down out on the floor. And once back inside, the two men going to trade some slams, but Rooster finally taking over control, landing that patented jawbreaker and a nice layout back suplex before locking in the Scorpion Deathlock. No, wait, the Cock of the Walk, getting the submission win here, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Red Rooster admitting his manager has no faith in him on both episodes of TV this week, but vowing to prove him wrong and do Bobby Heenan proud. Not a great start here. Having issues with Tommy Angel. And boy, this entire gimmick is really rough to watch in real time. When you're watching it week to week, every piece of footage, just rough to watch. And we haven't even gotten to the babyface character yet. Egads. But right now we go back to the ring. One more matchup this week on Wrestling Challenge. Jake the Snake Roberts taking on Bob Blackburn. And Blackburn going to try a cheap shot on the Snake Man up against the ropes early on. But that's a no-no. Jake Roberts quickly taking over, taking control, landing the gut buster. Then it's a short arm clothesline and the DDT eventually coming into play. Going to give the Snake Man the win. 2 minutes and 50 seconds and a little Damien action post-match for some fun. Boy, Damien's got a lot of big dates coming up. I assure you guys, stay tuned for that right now. I invite you to stay tuned for the Events Center and Sean Mooney featuring interviews with the likes of the fabulous Rougeau brothers and manager Jimmy Hart. We're also going to hear from the Powers of Pain and their manager, the Baron.
And the big news, Thanksgiving night at the Richfield Coliseum, the Survivor Series. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney back at the Event Center. And what a spectacular night it is going to be November 24th. 4 spectacular matches. The teams of 5 who will strive to survive. Also, the Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match. On one side, Captains Axe and Smash of Demolition. On their team, the fabulous Rougeau brothers.
The Survivor Series Thanksgiving night. Demolition, Bolsheviks, Brainbusters, and the Conquistadors, and
the fabulous Rougeau brothers.
That's it, baby.
You know, this is going to be great. I mean, Thanksgiving, it means a lot more to us since we plan to move to the United States of America, and this is going to be a big celebration for our camp here.
We could relate to you guys now, and as a matter of fact, the first team we're going to put our hands on is going to be the Hart Foundation. You guys are going home because we get double payoff, and it's a big one this time.
That's right, baby, and after they go, we're going to take care of the Rockers, the Bulldogs, the Stallions, and most of all, the Powers of Pain. Thanksgiving night, the Survivor Series. You can bank on it. The fabulous Rougeau brothers will be there.
And Jimmy Hart.
The fabulous Rougeau brothers involved in this Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match. Their captains, Axe and Smash of Demolition. On the other side, the Powers of Pain, the Warlord, and the Barbarian.
The Survivor Series Thanksgiving night. One team co-captained by my Powers of Pain. The other team co-captained by Demolition. Survival of the fittest. That's the name of the game. You're looking at 2 of the most fit wrestlers in all of professional wrestling. Survival. Get ready. We're coming.
Don't miss your chance to witness this spectacular event as the teams of 5 strive to survive, one that is especially hot. The teams co-captained by Akeem and the Big Boss Man, they will face the team co-captained by the Macho Man Randy Savage and one angry Hulk Hogan, the Survivor Series Thanksgiving night.
Well, that's all the people need to know. The Baron, at this point, still with the Powers of Pain. Looking forward to Demolition, perhaps taking the tag team titles, and of course, the big pay-per-view upcoming against Demolition and crew at the Survivor Series. Meanwhile, we hear from one of the teams on the opposite end, the fabulous Rougeaus and manager Jimmy Hart. They too talking all about the Survivor Series and more so about their ongoing feud with the Hart Foundation. As we conclude Wrestling Challenge this week, we learn that next week on the program, it will be the Warlord and the Barbarian, the Powers of Pain. Brutus, the Barber Beefcake's going to be here, along with Birdman Coco Beware. Hey, got to get him on TV before the pay-per-view. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters, as well as the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. And once again, in its entirety, on Wrestling Challenge, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ravishing Rick Rude from this weekend. This weekend's edition of Saturday night's main event, plus a special interview next week. Mean Gene going to talk with the likes of Akeem, the Big Boss Man, and the manager, the Doctor of Style Slick. So these guys on both shows, Brother Love and Mean Gene there next week on TV, setting up the big pay-per-view, no doubt. Plus, it also marks the challenge debut of Mr. Perfect. A perfect debut. If you want to do it right, Kurt Hennig appearing on both syndicated shows right here next week, kicking off the month of November, 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. Man, I just can't wait. But for right now, guys, we'll have to wait because we go off now to a special Halloween-themed edition of the WWF's Primetime Wrestling.
Monsoon, and welcome to our special primetime Halloween feast. Where's your costume? Can't you do anything right?
Where's your costume?
I have my costume on, my natural costume.
Very hard for me to tell sometimes.
What are you supposed to be?
What do you think I am? I'm supposed to have
Besides a goof, what is it?
He's sitting with a rubber face on. I'm a goof. I had my makeup woman coming in from L.A. Miss Betty was supposed to arrange.
Charge a lot to do that?
Can I explain to you? She's not here. I don't know where the bimbo is. Don't even have a monitor to work with. I don't even know if my badge is on straight. So I thought
Big
I'd
boss man. What does that mean? You're not the big boss man.
Well, I thought for Halloween I'd be the big boss man because he's kind of like the new hero to kids today because he's the one that knocked off Hulk Hogan. He's the one that showed Hulk Hogan what proper respect is all about. He's the one that took it to Hulk Hogan. So why not be the big boss man?
He's not even a member of your family.
No, he isn't, but that don't mean I don't idolize him. I'm a member of your family. They probably idolize me.
Boy, are you mixed up. You're really... No, I don't want any candy. Gorillas don't like candy.
Banana flavored.
Never mind banana flavor. You have any idea who's on this special Halloween feature this week?
Got my hat from Nick from the New
What
York
our
Police
feature
Department.
match is? Demolition, World Tag
Against the Rockers.
Team Champions, yes.
From Madison Square Garden. I know we got a lot on the Survivor Series. We know I got a lot on with Sugar Ray Leonard.
Big fights this coming Monday night.
It's coming Monday night. You people can all catch it on
John
pay-per-view
said,
TV.
don't call him anymore, please.
I haven't been able to get a hold of him. I was
Yeah.
wondering about those reservations.
It's not hard to understand why. We're going to go to our feature match right now. Blue Blazer taking on Boris Zukov. Let's go to ringside.
All right, here we go. It is the Halloween edition of Primetime Wrestling, a day late, maybe $1 short. November 1st, 1988. Hey, they can't help when this aired. Of course, it is Halloween weekend into the new month now, hosted by Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan. Heenan dressed up as the Big Boss Man, while Gorilla Monsoon dressed as a gorilla. And sorry for the muffled voice there of Gorilla there on commentary. If you're wondering why, it's because he's hiding under a gorilla mask. Bobby putting over the Boss Man, putting down the Hulkster last week on TV. And let's not forget, got to build it up. This coming Monday, 6 days away, it is the big Sugar Ray Leonard Lalonde fight right there on pay-per-view. Call your local cable companies today, guys. But right now, we go back to more banter. And what a mistake the Big Boss Man has made, says Gorilla Monsoon, by attacking Hulk Hogan.
What a mistake the Big Boss Man made.
No, I don't think he made a mistake
He
at
did
all.
not. Did you see the look on the Hulk's face?
You ever looked in the eyes of the Big Boss Man?
Please.
Big poster here. Hulk rules. You know what this should say? Hulk's a fool. That's what that should say. Telling you.
You're going to have to pay for that.
Oh, I'm not
And I
going to pay
don't
for
mean the
nothing.
poster either. I've got a lot of those.
I imagine you do.
I'm talking about physically. Sooner or later, you will have to pay. Just like your friend Lalonde is going to pay this coming Monday night at Caesars.
Well, Sugar Ray's going to have an easy time after the match. Because he won't have to walk back to the dressing room. He'll be on one of those stretchers
Will
with the
you
wheels.
Stop.
Take a nice one of those
You
two-door
wish.
Cadillac, two-wheeled Cadillac.
I suppose you put some money on the line.
Put a lot of money on the line, heavy on the line.
What, $3? That's your usual big bet, isn't it? $3?
Tell you, it wouldn't hurt you to put about 25 grand. Just follow what I do, and you'd be a wealthy man in a half hour.
Yeah, but how would you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night, Brain, doing all these things?
I fluffed
You
two
don't sleep
pillows
too
and
well,
pulled
do
the
you?
covers up real tight.
It is going to
Doesn't
be
bother
a
me at all.
classic event this coming Monday night at Caesars Palace
dummy.
in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sugar Ray Leonard trying for an unprecedented 5 times world champion in 5 different weight classifications.
Big deal.
He's
He's going to get knocked out.
So Gorilla referring to Boss Man attacking the Hulkster as a big mistake. But Bobby Heenan stating, have you ever looked into the eyes of the Big Boss Man? I don't know about that. Hulk Hogan poster located behind Bobby Heenan, taking his toy nightstick, ripping through said poster. And then, as you guys might have heard, a little more talk about Lalonde versus Sugar Ray is, well, the good news is it'll be over after this week. Of course, Gorilla Monsoon even asking Bobby there, how do you sleep at night? The Brain responds with the covers pulled up tight. Classic Brain. As we go late in the show now, Gorilla Monsoon upset. He stopped speaking to Bobby Heenan late in the program. And as we come out of our final commercial break, we come back to the set when the real Gorilla pops up.
I guess the people know by now that I don't need you.
Are we late? Am I that
now
late?
Now you want to talk,
What's
huh?
going on?
Now you want to open your mouth after I sat here and carried the whole show.
Hey, what are you doing? What the heck are you? Who is that?
Who are you?
Who is that?
Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
Well, then who is that?
I don't know.
I've been sitting here
What
for
have you
2
been-
hours.
Just because I was a couple hours late yet. What is this? What are you trying to... What kind of a sham is this?
I don't know who you are.
Look at your face.
What about my face?
I love it.
What's going on here?
So long, everybody. Are you crazy?
All right, so this is more of a visual if you guys want to know what's going on here. Basically, Gorilla Monsoon under the gorilla mask and gorilla gloves the entire show. And then moving into the final segment, we can see that Gorilla had shrunken a little bit, let us say. And yet still in the costume and in his gorilla suit, of course. And then out of nowhere, from off left, comes the actual Gorilla Monsoon, pondering, who is that man you've been talking to? Bobby Heenan, of course, completely confused here. I thought I'd been talking to you. Who is this guy under the gorilla mask? Bobby Heenan, extremely upset, storms off the set, perhaps scared of what was underneath that hood over there. So basically, Gorilla Monsoon was here for the duration, and they do a little comedy bit at the end where obviously he switched places, no doubt with Bruce Pritchard under the gorilla gear, I would have to imagine. And Gorilla Monsoon finally showing up for the show. And who's Bobby Heenan been talking to all this time? And lastly, exclusives this week include an entire segment visiting Tony Paco's Hungarian Hot Dogs in Toledo, Ohio. Google it, guys. Still there. More of a catering business now. They sell their wieners. But at the end of the day, I do believe as a restaurant, it's still there, Tony Paco's in Toledo. Only a 90-minute drive for me. Maybe I'll have to make that drive someday. But right now, we go off to 3 matches, exclusive matches here on Primetime as well. 2 of them taped in the Baltimore Arena, Baltimore, Maryland. October 25th was the date to see the Blue Blazer score a pinfall victory over the Bolsheviks' Boris Zukov. Match goes 7 minutes and 43 seconds. Boris going to fling the Blazer over the top rope, but Owen taking that Misawa-style flip, landing on the apron, ascending to the top rope, and diving off with a cross-body block to pick up the win over the big-headed Boris. And that match, like I said, 7:43. Also, a couple of squash matches exclusive this week to Primetime, including Greg Valentine over Tommy Angel with the Heartbreaker Figure 4. Match goes 4:23. And taped the following day, October 26th, in Salisbury, Maryland, at the old Wacomico Youth and Civic Center, Honky Tonk Man over John Ziegler with the Shake, Rattle, and Roll. That match, 2:28. Never a good deal when your squash matches start airing on Primetime. Honky Tonk Man, I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But that's going to wrap it up here this week for the Grenade guys. A little shorter than usual. Not a lot going on this week, but some build to next week, and I'm looking forward to that. But in between, next week, right here on the Grenade, it's going to be fun because it is time for the 5th season opener, the premiere of the 5th season of Saturday Night's Main Event. Right there on NBC. It's Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ravishing Rick Rude, the Hulkster, stepping in the ring against King Haku, WWF Tag Team Champions Demolition, defending against the Hart Foundation, plus Ken Patera going to try to defend America against the likes of Dino Bravo, and the Big Boss Man stepping into the ring, going to be seeking action against one Jimmy Powers. I'll pray for you, Jimmy. All of that and so much more going on. I hear Andre the Giant going to make a special appearance there on Saturday Night's Main Event that nobody is going to want to miss. But for right now, guys, we're going to wrap things up here this week on The Grenade. Going to be back next time, conclude October finally with Saturday Night's Main Event, and then it's off to November news, heading into the Survivor Series. Big days ahead here for the WWF heading into the later half of the fall. But for right now, here on The Grenade, going to wrap things up this week. Be back next time for Saturday Night's Main Event. Until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
Gratitude and servitude.
The Survivor Series, Thanksgiving night. Demolition, Bolsheviks, Brainbusters, and the Conquistadors, and
the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers.
That's it.
The Survivor Series, Thanksgiving night. Survival of the fittest. That's the name of the game. Survival. Get ready, we're coming.
You know, Big Boss Man, I can't believe that you and the slickster would be dumb enough to try to put these little handcuffs on me, man. You should have brought the big shackles, the big chains, the first time around, man. You cannot put Hulkamania in a cage, brother. If you shackle me down, Hulkamaniacs, put the seatbelts on. I'll rip the bleachers apart trying to get to him. What are you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?